Hi everyone! Welcome to today's stream. I know it's a little extra, but I did say I might be doing an extra stream today, and yeah. So, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be replaying Indigo Park. Da 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 dun 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 da 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 da. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna be replaying Indigo Park. Except this time I already know everything about it in terms of, linear gameplay stuff. So it's gonna be a lot faster. And, well, I'm going to be talking about theories and ideas I have for, how the story might be going. I'm probably going to get a lot of it wrong, but who knows? I might get some of it right. And, well, this is my first time doing a theory type stream. Mostly because I've never wanted to before. But, yeah. Anyway. Let's get started, shall we? And... oh. There we go. Hold on, I think I'm gonna have to turn the graphics down a little bit. There we go. Now back to this to see how it looks. All right, I just turned everything down one notch under epic. Yeah, it looked a little laggy on my side, so I decided to just tweak it. So, we're gonna start from the beginning. And I'm gonna want to note about a few things. Now, there are some things that might be hidden behind chat up there. I'll do my best to make sure that it's talked about, though. So, yeah. All right, that sign said employees only. There's Rambly! Aww. I like Rambly. At Indigo Park. Now, let's take a moment. All right.
Journey to this newfound paradise, we welcome you.
Oh, there's the lion on the right.
The American dream to call your own. In this place, echoes of days gone are
the lion is right next to the entrance there.
Captures a glimpse of the exciting potential of tomorrow. Indigo Park pays homage to the values, dreams, and unwavering truth.
And I think I saw the bird on the left.
Here you embark on the journey of a lifetime.
Can't miss experience. The Indigo Park website seems to be up. But, yeah, see, the lion is originally on it, but then Rambly is on it. Hi, Fel! I'm doing a kind of a games theory stream today. That is just, talking about how you're gonna get into it. Ensign. Now, if you notice at the top right, it says that it's 10-7 at 1923. So that means at 7:23 p.m. on October 7th. Bird up! Mm-hmm. Now there's CDs, local. Alright. Okay, there's the entrance, and that says 21:48, which means 9:48 p.m. on October 7th. Mm-hmm. Birds of a feather! Alright. Mm-hmm. Now, the first thing to notice there is that the entrance, you saw the lion Lloyd right behind the Disney-esque guy, and it was to the right-hand side of the entrance, but it's possible it's not the same entrance, all that good stuff, but in the current time frame, it's rambly. Now, one thing... did I freeze? Oh, I guess not. Okay. So, I got a couple of ideas. First up, I honestly didn't notice that Lloyd was behind, right next to the entrance, and then the other side had Molly in the little black and white video until just now. Now, I'm assuming that I jumped through. Now, we do need to note that the video you saw earlier, I'm assuming it's of you in the truck. It said October 7th, and then it had 7:23 p.m., and then it cut to 9:48 p.m. So, it's a decent drive, easy to say. Now, one thing to note, even though Rambly is going to show up over here in a little bit, Rambly does not know that we're here yet. Likely because there's no camera to turn on. Actually, no, there probably is one built in, but it probably only turns on when Rambly's there. Now, I'm not gonna... Yeah, see, there's the Rambly. There's the Rambly. And over here, the coloring makes me think this is Molly. I don't have it on Epic Visuals because, well... Actually, I'm going to turn it back onto Epic. See if it was just during the setup that it was making it be a little slow. General. Graphics. Switch it back to Epic. Yes. Hopefully that won't lag me. Oh, nope. It is lagging me, so... But there, you can easily see that is Rambly, and that is indeed Molly. I'm going to switch it back to, let's see, graphics. Okay. I'm going to put just that back to Epic, and everything else to high. All right, there we go. All right, that should be good. Yeah. See, there's Rambly. Indigo Park. Enjoy your stay. All right. Now, all of this. Now, get the little collectible. Now, if you note there, that's the first camera that we see. Now, it is automatically following us and opening the door. Now, even though nobody's paying any bills here, I'm assuming the electricity is still running. I'm assuming that they got some sort of internal generator system in order to keep it going. Now, here is our first little bit of lore
Hi
type
there,
information.
and welcome to Indigo Park, the world's most innovative and engaging family fun experience. Step into the world of your favorite character. Wait, you're our first guest in 2,920
Now,
days, 4
that's
hours,
important.
23 minutes, and 38 seconds. Congratulations! I'm
Yeah.
Rambly the Raccoon, and it's my job to make sure your experience here at Indigo Park is the most fun it can be. Just hop on over to the registration center to your left, where our friendly assistant will help you begin your adventure in the park.
Yep. Now, you'll note that Rambly here said that we're the first visitor in 2,920 days. If you do 2,920 divided by 365, that is exactly 8. But that is not taking into account leap years. Now, if you take into account leap years, that means whatever caused this to finally shut down, for good, happened on October 5th. Now, I'm not sure how important that is, but it's true. And he also said it was 4 hours and 23 minutes and 38 seconds. So let's just round up to 4 hours and 24 minutes. Now, based on the video early on, you did see that it was 9:48 p.m. Now, assuming we just hopped through here immediately. Oh, the door's shut. I didn't notice that before. Well, anyway, assuming you immediately jump over, there's no time wasted. That means that the last time there was a guest was at either, at the absolute earliest, 5:24 p.m., and at the absolute latest, it would be 7:35 p.m., which is like evening time. So, not the early parts of the day where everyone's going to the parts of the park that they're most excited about, but when people are going to the last big events before they want to end, I assume. Now, I'm saying that 7:35 because anything past that would mean that it's after midnight based on what Rambly said. And when you click on this, now if you note,
and it's my job to make
it
sure
says that it's Saturday, October 7th still.
Let me just get good.
Look, the camera turned on for a second while Rambly looked at me.
To have your face in our guest list. Is this your first time here at the park? Or did
Yeah,
you just get
now
plastic
just note
surgery?
behind
No worries,
that it
it's
says today
Rambly
is,
Tuesday, so you qualify
and
for a
he
big
said
discount
it's
on your
Rambly
visit. Just follow me to the
Tuesday,
main gate.
even
Ooh, I can't wait for
though
you to see everything Indigo Park has to
in the right
offer.
monitor it says that it's Saturday. So there could be a little confusion in his systems, but the fact that my internal camera said it was the 7th of October, I think that the right monitor, where it says what time it was, is more right than the left one in terms of that. It's entirely possible that he got a little confused, or something that he admits later is the part of it. Now, the door opened. It's obvious that Rambly wants you to stick around. He doesn't want you to leave immediately. But it's not like we can get out. There's literally no way for us to get out right now. At least playing logically, or properly, I should say. Because, if this was real life, you could just climb over. Now, you will note that I don't see any camera except that one. So it would explain why that didn't turn on until you show up just now.
What's the holdup? The gate is open.
Yep.
Head on into the entryway.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. My mistake. The gate is
Now,
not
obviously, Rambly has
open. An error message
not
being sent from the gate's
been doing
power
much.
unit. Lucky you. You get to be the first person to try our turn on the generator mini Rambly venture.
Now,
Have
I get
fun.
the feeling that Rambly is, a digital mascot who's meant to try to make things fun even when things aren't going well. Hence why it was described as an adventure instead of a task or a chore. Although, in order to make it fun, it could have been described as, oh, that's what that is. I saw a little bit of red and I was like, what's that? Anyway, if you come in here,
The Indigo Violet compact power generator. But it seems to be inoperable. Looks
Now-
like it's missing a piece. Can you find it?
there's not much in here I can find other than the little Rambly. Now, this doesn't do anything. I don't see anything down there. And the fact that you can't, crouch and you can only jump, that does limit things. Now, yeah, you see that little webcam? That flicked on for a little bit when Rambly wanted to get a look at you. Now, he said, is this your first time or did you get plastic surgery? I personally think that the more likely answer is that you're just older. Because, let's say that you're 20 right now. The last time you would have been here is when you're 12, or if you're 18, it would have been 10. So you're just a lot older. All right. And that's all there is to it. You somehow throw the flashlight in the air or something. All right. There we go. Now that only really pumped up some extra electricity for here. Now, I kind of think that Rambly is stuck in the intro area right there until an employee comes normally and can only look out of that camera. Because that sign does say employees only and, well, Wranglers only. But it said it was the guest kiosk on your left. I think that
Okay.
Rambly is kind of stuck.
Welcome to Indigo Park.
Now, Rambly can see us better, because look, more cameras. I kind of think Rambly is, by default, stuck in the entrance area, basically everything before the park. Because, helps with some of the setup stuff. And typically only goes to where there are currently employees. Now, this looks like, just kind of a globe. Nothing special, nothing fancy. And I just kind of wanted to look around to see if there was anything different about it. Now, there's Lloyd. Now, Critter Corner. Now, this upcoming part's kind of important.
Rambly, every guest needs a critter
Yep.
cuff. That will allow you access to reserved areas, charge payments to your room, and wear a critter cuff.
Now, you notice
Some of the gift shop.
that we
In a minute, I'll
can't
you set
get
up.
in without this critter cuff. And normally there'd probably be people, to stop you if you tried. So, now from a business perspective, it makes sense if everyone... Now, another thing to notice, look. There's merch of the skunk, the lion, the dragon, and Molly. Actually, I don't see any keychains of Rambly. But there's lots of other merch. Interesting. I never noticed that there was no Rambly keychains. But if you're watching carefully, this is the only merch that you ever see of the skunk in the entire level. You don't see any collectibles, and you don't see any merchandise on sale. Now, even if you don't see other merchandise for the others, I haven't done as thorough a checking. Well, actually, no, there's merch over there, over there, over there. I am going to look a little bit just to see if I find anything.
Buddy.
All right, here we
Very
go.
own Critter Cuff, a new way to interact with the park that also doubles as a pedometer, heart monitor, and mood ring.
All right. Now, this, I think, is a really big deal because it's something that all of the people have to wear in order to enter the theme park. And it keeps track of how far you've walked. It's a mood ring. And it keeps track of your heart rate. Now, that is all information that is very informative for some of the stuff coming up. Oh, there's the moon. Now, let's think about this. Even though a lot of stuff has happened, there has to be some real damage for that to break. I don't know how long it would take.
Mysteriously locked. Why not test out your band and save the day?
Yeah. Now, I'm assuming that there's also different settings for the band.
Hooray! Great work, buddy. Now try entering the
for,
park,
you know, Wranglers and for non-Wranglers, you know, the customers. Now I already grabbed that thing over there. I grabbed the two out there. When it gets to the end, I'm going to talk about the collectibles, so I'm going to skip that part earlier. Now, one theory that I have is that Rambly only really exists in the employee-only areas, can only look outside certain cameras when there's no customers around, but Rambly can zoom around between places where, you know, customers currently are. Now, he would have access to employee data, but yeah. Now, in here, there's not a lot to look at that I found. You know, it's typical stuff. Now, I am a little curious about the upcoming wreckage that's going to be happening. I forgot to check earlier, but there's a lot of stuff getting broken. Now, here we go. Now, obviously, there's still a lot of stuff that's very intact. Completely out there benches, street lights, the bird up sign. Now, here's the thing. That is the only stuff that could be falling when we go through here, because we're about to go through here. So something is about to break the wall. The bird up sign is actually in good condition. And honestly, even though I'm assuming all of this is well past expired, it's pretty good condition too. But watch, the moment we go through here, yeah, now, I feel that if Rambly becomes a villain, it won't be by his own accord. I think it'll be because something happens to him, you know? And I don't think Rambly can control the other mascots at all. Now let's go through here. It'll cut to the next scene, and the entrance will be completely blocked. You heard. Now that, I'm a little surprised it's here, which would mean that inside of the building above us, that this had to be in there. Because all of this. Now, if you note, there's Bird Up, there's Rambly, there's Finley, and there's two knocked over ones. Lloyd and the raccoon. I don't remember the raccoon's name offhand. Yep. Now this, at least the camera's not in the bathroom. All right, so all right, got another collectible. Now, I see this and my first thought goes to Squidward, you know? This little Finley thing. I don't know why, but it does. Now, there's Rambly and there is Molly. Here's another camera. They see us coming.
Dust, buddy. Looks like the park is going through some renovations. For the inconvenience, your Rambly Tuesday discount will be 3% off. Why not celebrate this great deal with a ride on my railroad?
Yeah.
To test your sleuthing skills, I'll let you find this one all by yourself.
Now, here's a thought. The reason that Rambly keeps doing Rambly Tuesday, this is completely unrelated to most of it, but Tuesdays, I imagine, are kind of a hard day for a lot of customers to show up. So I imagine there's certain days that are Rambly Tuesdays, probably for some sort of celebratory thing where entrance was free. But they did that with the hopes that people would buy the overpriced merchandise or the overpriced foods. Yeah. Now, these are older computer monitors. You can tell because they're really thick. From my understanding, thick monitors were like, I don't know exactly, but they were like really common in the 90s and at least the early parts of the 2000s. I'm not sure when they became rare, but they're hanging there.
Suggests you may be a bit older than the target audience for this ride, but it's one of my favorites. Do you know why Rambly the raccoon loves
Because I like trains.
Because I like trains.
Now, one thing I kind of have a theory about, this is a little different, is that Rambly was not an original character and actually just became really popular and overtook one of the original popular characters, in this case, Lloyd. Because if I'm thinking correctly, I heard a thing where Mickey Mouse was actually in danger of not being the most popular, Disney character. It was actually going to be Donald Duck that was actually getting more popular, but thanks to the movie Fantasia, it really bumped up Mickey's popularity. I'm not 100% sure if that's true or not, but I kind of get the feeling that that might be the case here with Rambly and Lloyd, especially if it's the same image in the front of the park where Rambly got painted over Lloyd. Oh, now look. You go in here, you press the button, and you go on to the next part. Now watch this. I'm just going to run over it without clicking. And instead, it automatically puts you on the train if you do that. I imagine that's something they did to prevent too much exploration. That's not lore, but...
Welcome to Rambly's Railroad. I'm Conductor Rambly.
Now, Rambly just likes trains. Silly little raccoon. Now, in here, this is Molly's home, which would explain why, as far as I know, you see Molly over there, behind the tree, just barely visible.
What's brainstorming?
Yeah, see? Right there, behind the tree.
Admission included with return of cup.
All right, good, good, good. See, there's the door. And there's all the smudges on the trees. That could be really dried up blood or something. Now this is a part that's really broken up. Wait, no, the next part is. But still, it's a little broken up, at least. Now here comes the raccoon part up ahead. Oh wait, no. I skipped a part.
Oh, Finley!
Finley!
Hi, Rambly.
Why the long face
All right.
and body?
You've known me for 100 years, Rambly. I'm always long because I'm always longing for a new seashell for my collection.
Oh, Finley!
All right,
you should come
that
out of
seashell
your
stuff I don't
shell.
really have any theories on
How
yet.
about you come into it instead?
But,
My ride
yeah.
in the Oceanic Odyssey will teach
Little
you all
bubbles.
about the wonders down under the deep blue sea.
Bloop.
It's as blue as me.
Ba-ba-da-ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-bum.
Oceanic Odyssey currently closed but remains.
Okay, now that, if he is attached to the, the employee stuff, he would know that. But he might not know everything. Okay, look, you can see out there, which means that, especially as a bird, Molly would be able to get out. And this is the part where the skunk is. It's completely isolated, and I think that the skunk is kind of the villainous character for these sorts of cartoons and whatnot. Kind of like Pete used to be in the early Mickey Mouse cartoons. Now, up ahead we got another part that I got an idea about. Right here. Now for this, not Rambly, he hurt Lloyd. Now, Rambly obviously doesn't like Lloyd, but, it's kind of like, ah. And Rambly, well, he's a glitchy thing. There's no physical version of him as far as I've heard or, indicated. But I think it's possible that the skunk, because the skunk looks similar enough to Rambly that I could imagine him dressing up like Rambly and doing, things to hurt Lloyd. So I think it's entirely possible. Now, Lloyd's limos. Where did that rubble come from? Alright. Now, anyway, did I... Oh, wait, no, I don't have to pull a lever. So, what I think was being said here was, it's not Rambly, he hurt Lloyd. I might not like Lloyd, but I'm not going to hurt him type of thing, I'm sure everyone knows people like that they're not exactly fond of, but they wouldn't hurt. And you get to see the first interaction with Lloyd and Rambly here. Yeah. All right. Come on. Now.
Hey there, Lloyd.
And Lloyd seems to kind of like Rambly, at least a little bit, and is popular, or at least seems to be. Now, there we go.
Great act, Lloyd.
Yep. You're supposed to pay attention there and not notice Molly behind you. Molly obviously knows this area really well. And considering the first spot that you see her, I would assume that Molly basically treated this like home. Because, you know, Molly can fly out of the top, or at least climb out. Oh.
Pretty fun, right? Now you know all about my friends and Lloyd. So where do you want to go?
Now, if you look over here, you will notice that there is a pattern. There's only really 3 specific locations. The glitchy one that appears 3 times, the one on the top corner there, this one here, and that one down there, and then those 3. Well, those 2. I'm guessing that one's supposed to be the same as these. Now, obviously, if there's power, the thing was probably running for a while, but without any customers in 8 years. And if you notice there, Molly was chasing someone, whether that be us or just kind of, you know, living its life in there. It's obvious that Molly kind of has had time to get used to the area. Now, it's got pretty good little security things, and because of some of the technology, I think that this, assuming that this isn't in the future or something, it has to be either 2023 or 2017, because those are the only years that match up for October 7th. I mean, it could be 2006, but I'll explain why later. I don't think that's the case. Now, if you look here, this is all nothing but Rambly stuff. They're really pushing Rambly. I suppose my thought about Lloyd and Rambly could also be the other way around. All right. Now, let's get in here. All right, so what we're going to do first is we're going to head over, and in this restaurant, Old Alice's Shake-Ups Lemonade, you...
Come over here.
I'll get over there in a minute, Rambly. In this restaurant here, you can find the gold in Rambly. Alright. Now, I am checking, but I don't see any cameras in here. And I'm gonna go over here because this is kind of a trigger for the next spot. But there are a couple stores. Shop of Photos. I imagine that's things where you know, stand in front of things and get like pictures or something. Now here's
look at
this.
that. You're at Jetstream Junction. Oops. Looks like Jetstream Junction's being tuned up. Last I checked, there's a security office in the back of the theater. Maybe a friendly wrangler can help you get in.
Oh, orange level access granted. That is the first hint that you got access beyond the normal. Now, over here they got a couple interesting signs. Voluptuous Villa and by moon, by night. Now, alternative gifts. And I'm not sure what that red text under Voluptuous Villa says, but I imagine it's kind of a not kiddie friendly place. All right. So next up, we are going to check the kiosk just to get his little blurb.
This here's an information kiosk.
Yep.
If there's anything around the park you want to ask me about, just stop by here and I'll ramble on about it.
Yeah, so it's possible that Rambly is either the most popular or got replaced as the most popular character. I mean, obviously Rambly I'd say Rambly probably became the most popular. Now, here's the cafe where we can get this collectible. And you will see that there's cookies in there that are, well, and moldy. They're in glass. But look at the prices. Now, you do need to note that this is from 8 years ago. But chocolate muffin, $3.50. Ice cream cone, $7. Latte, $4. Coffee, $3. I imagine that it's probably in a place that's overall a little hot, because that's why they're charging $6 for an ice cream cone. All right. Now here we got Lloyd's Main Stage Theater. Lloyd's Main Stage predicts perfect performance. Lloyd live. Now over there, you can't get to. It's either going to be something that's relevant in a later chapter or something that's not. Now, obviously, Molly, there's something different about her, but we're about to see Lloyd for the first time. And here we go. Now, I'm just going to run straight at him. See? There we go. He runs and hides. Now, he doesn't have a critter cuff. And there's nothing big in here to indicate he's managed to break out. So, which is unlike Molly. Now, Molly and Lloyd is the actor type. Boom. And here we go. Now, see, he was sleeping right here on stage, or at least resting, relaxing, whatever. All right. So I think that they're part animal, part person to an extent, with the, characters' personalities programmed into them.
Hey, buddy, I've got eyes all over the park, but I can't see anything behind the stage. If you're going back there, be careful. Your critter cuff is not yet able to resuscitate you.
That is a very interesting thing. Now, not yet. Makes me think that critter cuffs can do it by default, but you probably need some sort of level of clearance or something in order for that to be locked on. This, I just like. For some reason, I could see Indigo Park any % speed run piano player. Ba-ba-da-ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-ba-da-bum. Now, we need to note Rambly said he could not see in there. Rambly can see through the cameras, though. And he did see Lloyd run in. He probably knows what's going on. To an extent, or at least did all those years ago. Clang. Now, there you saw Lloyd a little bit. The big claws and whatnot. And you will notice that Lloyd doesn't have the actor extraordinaire outfit like in the little Rambly Roads railway thing. All right. So let's go forward. Now this would be a perfect place for a chase. Now, here we go. Yeah, see? It looks like there's some blood on him, but it also looks like it's been very dried. So it looks like it could have been there for a while. Or it's possible it's his own. Alright, so back here I did not see anything of interest earlier. But there we go. And let's do a quick look. See, Rambly didn't have eyes back here. And there's no security cameras. Now, let's see. I do think that Lloyd likes to stay here because I do think he was made with the desire to be a great actor extraordinaire. And yeah. Now, coming up, we got this. Now, here is why I said it's important to take into account that the critter cuff can keep track of your heart rate, your mood, and how much you've walked. Oh, little growls from Lloyd. Now, I do think that the door closed because, well, actually, I'm not sure why the door closed. It might be automatic when someone enters the back room. That way, if somebody, breaks in, it's harder for them to get out until security shows up if they're not properly credentialed. I do see a camera here. So it's possible that this one is not connected to Rambly because this is the security back room. But in the security room itself, I saw none. So yeah, that's... Either Rambly doesn't have access to this, or they're partly down, or something. Now, watch here. Lloyd grabs you, and I would like to imagine that that would pump up your heart rate really fast. And look, there's Molly. Now, Molly's personality is more about, crashing planes and whatnot, a little bit of causing chaos, I guess you could say. I kind of wish Rambly had a thing here. But as a bird, I do imagine, at least to an extent, they can, get up and down easily. And, holes in the wall, really high up, holes in the roof would be very easy for an avian to get through. Now, there we go. So yeah, I think the something triggered, the moment that your heart rate and mood elevated to fear, and that is what caused something to happen to repel Lloyd. Kind of a security measure in case the mascots go wild. Mm-hmm. Which does make sense. Now look. I'm not sure if this is actually a glitch or not, but look, I already got that collectible. And I already got this collectible. So yeah, you can get 2 golden Ramblies. I'm assuming this was just kind of a stopgap measure type thing, because it's probably hard to do so many if-thens, and it was probably easier to just, copy-paste the whole thing into one thing. I don't know. I'm not a game person. Well, I'm a game-playing person, but not a game-making. All right, here we go. Bird up places.
Say, why don't you check out Molly's rooftop races? It's not far from here. And it's a great warm-up before we get into the bigger rides. Just take it up at Molly's landing pad.
Now, I do think that the Seath place was... Okay, now look. See? Molly's place is wide open. Molly's home here would be very easy to get out of too, but Lloyd's wasn't. Now, I do imagine that Molly is kind of used to going around, and I do kind of have a theory about why they don't leave Indigo Park. Now, first, Molly's garage. Oh. Nothing really special in here that I can think of for lore. But, it does give you another price thing. Add some fries for $3.50. Yeah. I mean, you kind of are trapped to get their food and drink stuff if you're at a place like this. Now, there's nothing special up there, but I will quick run up there to show you. All right, see, nothing here, nothing there. This is probably just a rest area. Yeah. Now, I'm about to get to a part that opens a lot of theories for me. The arcade game. Yeah. So, I'm not going to play it right now. Mostly because... well, yeah. Commercials are about to start, and I don't want people to miss anything if they're interested. So, the commercials are about to start. They'll take 3 minutes. We'll be back after those 3 minutes. And, well, we'll finish up from there. See you in a little bit. All right, and we're back. Now, this is Molly's area. And this is Rambly Rush. And if you read the front, oh no, Molly's plane crashed somewhere in Rambly Woods. I better find her and make sure she's okay. And this is an older game, I'm guessing. Here we go. Oh no, Molly's plane crashed somewhere in Rambly Woods. I better go make sure she's okay. Now, one thing about this, it's a simple side-scroller type game. And jump on the squirrel. It's all purpley. There we go. And those are the only, like, minions that you gotta fight. The rest of this is just platformery. And one of these caves has a hole that you can jump down where you see Molly shoved in a cage. Now, I do kind of forget which one, so I'm not going to bother jumping down until I find it. But all it really does is force you to replay. Now, those squirrels, you know. Yep. Glitch. And then it's another little run and jump. This is the first one that has no enemies. All right. There we go. Now that one doesn't glitch. Now, I do notice that it says free play on the top right, which kind of helps me think what I'm about to say. All right, here we go. No, what happened? Oh, hey, Rambly. I was flying through the woods, but suddenly I couldn't see a thing. And here comes the skunk. Salem, looks like my scope screen made her crash right on target. Salem, I should have known you were behind this, you shady skunk. Let her go. Nah. How's about I try a new potion on her instead? I'm tired of wasting it on squirrels. Look out! And boom! Angry Molly. Too slow, dumpster face. What did you do to her? Meet the new and improved Molly McCaw. Now, with none of that friendship garbage stopping her from tearing you to pieces. I wonder what she really thinks of you now. Have fun finding out. And then there's a little mini boss type thing. You jump on her a few times. And if you get hurt, you lose a certain number of rambleberries, which you've been gathering on the stage. And there we go. Now, here's what a big idea I got. Now, this game spit out a rambleberry. It's physically there. Now, it's nothing too complicated. It's kind of like almost I don't know how to describe it, but It doesn't look like anything too complicated. And it's likely all digital. Now, here we go. Now this is another collectible. Way over here. And we're gonna get another bit with Rambly. And another area with a wide open roof.
Oh no, this is horrible. Looks like Molly crashed into the right again. Don't worry though, your pal Rambley has a repairman on speed dial.
And you will see that some of those planes have been ripped off or broken
We're
off.
sorry. The number you have dialed has been disconnected or is no longer in service. Please check the number and dial again.
Doo-doo-doo.
Say, why don't you check out Molly's landing pad? It's not far from here and it's a great cool down after that exhilarating ride. Just take a down from Molly's rooftop races.
All right. So we got everything that we can here. And you will notice that this Molly, even if we ignore the clothes, looks a lot different than the Molly we're going to deal with later. Because the Molly we're going to deal with later has yellow wings. Well, and of course it's trying to eat you. Molly's landing pad. All right. Now, I could skip this part by just getting these parts right, but that wouldn't be fun. Now, look. It's like, chutes and ladders? Or something like that. And we're going to want to go through this door. Do, 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 do. And you notice that Rambly is everywhere, even in other people's areas. And you see this right here. Now, I'm not sure why they would lock this behind this, but, you know, whatever. I mean, I can't think of a logical reason why this would be here out in the open. Now watch. There goes Molly. Yep. And you heard the little boing. Molly has been stalking you. Probably for when it feels like it has the best home advantage. Although I honestly think its best chance to get you, oh, there's a red star, would have been when you were on the Rambley's Railways, because everyone's focused on Lloyd. Okay, that's a big stain on the ground. I'm gonna have to look at that when we get closer. All right. So, green triangle, red star. Green triangle, red star. green triangle, red star. There we go. All right, green triangle, red and blue star. And the last one's a circle. See, even now it's still stalking you. Green triangle, blue and red star. This one is a circle. Alright, this... I mean, I suppose it could be dried up blood. But, yeah. Alright. Now we're at the last part, which is where the chase is going to happen. Alright. And I haven't seen Rambly for a while, but I also haven't seen any cameras for a while. Alright. So, once we get past this and get the two last collectibles, we will talk about theory stuff. Alright, gonna get a quick drink. There we go. And it's time to go. Now we'll get to about that orangish spot. Yep. And all right. We gotta make all the right turns. Now, Molly is saying stuff that she's heard. I want to play with the bird again. There we go. All right. The only part I'm not sure if I'll get right is one of these jumps. Because I forget if I gotta go straight or turn around because it's a trampoline jump. That was the one. Alright, now here you can get stuck on that ball. Look, right here is a collectible. Come on, left. And left. All right, Rambly.
There you are, buddy. Wait, hold on. This one's staff only.
I can staff.
Come on in, you staff.
All right. There we go. Now, obviously, this thing is alive to an extent, at least.
Registered room. Here we have plenty of amenities and. Okay.
There's the camera.
I can see in your facial tracking that you're angry, upset. Transparency is an important part of our policy here at Indigo Park, so I need to be honest about something. The park has been inactive for years. Employees stopped showing up, guests too. The mascots are. I just was so excited to see a visitor, and I wanted to be sure you were given the best experience possible.
Yeah.
But I was confined to the entrance for so long.
There we go, confined to the entrance.
The park has fallen into, wasting all of your fun time. Sorry for the inconvenience. But I have an idea. I have access to the repair documentation in my database. I just can't execute most tasks without authorization from a human user.
Makes sense.
You must have come here because the park matters to you too, right? Would you be willing to help me restore the park?
Your facial data says you're not
Your
opposed.
facial tracking data that you aren't opposed to this. Ooh, I'm so excited. Let's get this place back in
All right.
business.
There we go. No more terror stuff.
Welcome to the crew, Rookie Wrangler. Register. Your first official job as one of Rambley's Wranglers Register is to get out of the Rambley's Wranglers Register room. Head left towards the Rookie Wrangler Register security room to set yourself free. Phew, kind of exhausting to say that whole spiel. But Rambley's Wranglers Register is a registered trademark that expired yesterday.
Now, trademarks, those last for 10 years, which that does line right up with the 8 years, basically, it's been since any customers have been here. Now, up ahead, here we go.
Uh-oh, that Rambley's Wranglers room is only accessible by Royal Wranglers. Maybe one day you'll grow up big and strong enough to enter it. But for now, don't.
Now, that I'm a little curious about, but for now, don't. I could see that as being, it's like some sort of high security thing that only like the people who made the mascots or whatever did get access to. Because, let's be honest, if they're making those sorts of things, yeah. Now here we go. Let's look. There's the entrance, which for some reason, wait, is that the entrance? That looks like where we came in before the bathrooms with the collectible. That looks like the entrance. Just past the entrance, I mean. That looks like just before. That is where we're about to go. This is where the, Rambley outfits were. Yeah, this looks like almost all the places that Rambley showed up. The only places that I can think otherwise is the train area, inside of it. But anyway, he did say he was trapped in the entrance. So I think other than the entrance, he's only permitted to be where there are employees or critter cups. And that makes sense considering how he's been able to follow us. All right. So we're about to go over here and get to the last little bit of the game for chapter 1. Now here we go, the last kiosk. Well, I say last, but it's only the second. Now first up, I did already mention that the only merch for the skunk is... I seem to be lagging a little bit. So I'm gonna video, graphics, boom. There we go. Just a high on everything. All right. All right. Give me a second. I'm gonna pop, pop, pop. And pop, pop, pop. All right. So first up, it's the all-new Rambley the Raccoon action figure, available at your local toy store. It's cool to see that there's some mint condition ones still in the park.
Oh, I got this. I know the commercial by heart.
Wow, it's the unlimited edition Rambley the Raccoon figure. Push him down and he jumps. Push him up and he doesn't. Only $19.99 at your favorite toy store.
Now, from what I know, that sounds like a 90s commercial. And that's part of why I think that this game has to be taking place in either 2023 or 2017. Because, that commercial. Next, it's a weird poodle plush. It doesn't seem to be an Indigo product. Sure doesn't look like any character you've seen in the parks. Maybe a child
Buddy,
left it.
did you dig that out of the lost and found, or was it in the trash? No surprise to guess that our park would dispose of a non-Indigo brand toy. I suppose he'd make playtime special for a child with poor taste, though.
Now that just shows that Rambly is very against non-Indigo park stuff. Next, Rambleberry. This thing popped out of Ramble Rush arcade cabinet. How is that even possible? Do you think it's edible?
Whoa, where'd you get that? Rambleberries are my favorite. Oh, if only I could jump out of the screen to take a big bite. Don't eat it. Maybe I'll be able to one day.
Right there. That's a big part of what I'm going to be talking about in a little bit. When I was a kid, they used to have free refills, unlimited on these things. I once drank so much bird up that I got sick and threw up in the while riding rooftop races.
Ooh, that's a Rambly cup. Nothing beats the taste of fresh Rambleberry juice drunk directly out of my plastic, lifeless head.
Oh, phrasing. Rambly head! Whoa, freaky. This must be one of those mascot costumes that they used to work at the park. In a weird way, I'm glad they kind of retired this.
Whoa, where'd you find that? I've never seen anyone wearing one. Pretty snazzy. Ooh, looks like there's an audio recording tagged with costume in my database I've never noticed before. Let's listen.
Hey, Jackson, you hear about the new mascots?
Yeah, think it'll put us out of a job?
I think so. Old sport. And right after we got this damn raccoon
sport.
costume.
Man, screw this place. I say we get our asses out of here and go straight to Vegas.
Aw, come on. They didn't even document the Indigo inventory ID for the costume. I was really looking forward to that. What a useless recording.
Delete.
Deleted.
All right. So wait, they're so money hungry that they just recolored Rambly and called it a new product? Kind of lazy,
Wow,
don't you
is that
think?
a limited edition gold Rambly plush? Parents were fighting tooth and nail for those things when they came out. Seriously, our employees had to clean up so many stray teeth and nails. Hard to believe there was all that demand for a regular Rambly plush we just blasted with gold spray paint.
I remember when my mom took me to the park one summer. Her favorite was always Molly. So when they opened the new Molly meet and greet in Jetstream Junction, we were some of the first in line.
Oh, a Molly plush. She's always been my best friend. Did you know she builds planes in her landing pad at the park? And then she crashes them. She's so talented.
Finley plush. The sea serpent always kind of freaked me out. I love aquariums and fish, but the size of him always made me uneasy as a
Found
kid.
my buddy Finley. You know, he's really shy. Like, too shy. Like, obnoxiously shy. He's got a good heart. I hope you get to meet him someday.
All right, Lloyd! I feel like as a kid, Indigo used Lloyd a lot more. He was always one of my favorites.
Ew, Lloyd.
That is one of the reasons I think Rambly kind of replaced Lloyd. Maybe Rambly was like the creator's favorite, but people, didn't like them as much, and it kind of leaked into some of the merch or cartoons or whatever.
Congratulations! You found me!
I forgot to read what it said. There's my buddy. Feels kind of like Rambly. Has a whole empire now, being the main man of Indigo Park. Rambly is. I remember watching these old DVDs that Indigo Park would send to your home when you booked a reservation. They always advertised the biggest gift shops and made all the silly merchandise look so fun. My dad promised that he'd buy me a pair when we went. Now this is another timetable thing. Apparently DVDs weren't a thing until 1996 or 1997. So, in theory, it does mean that this could be 2006 right now. But I also imagine not everyone was an early adapter and had those like cassette tapes. So, yeah. That's why I don't think it's 2006, because that would mean the event happened in 1998. And if DVDs had been around for only a year, they'd probably be talking more about the VHS cassettes.
Rambling ears? Those used to fly off the shelves. That pair is pretty damaged, though. Keep your eyes peeled. There's gotta be at least one more mint condition set out there
I
somewhere.
mean, there's a lot
Like a yard
in the
sale.
park. And Retro Lloyd! I always find it weird when companies make merch that's supposed to look old. Lloyd obviously has an older look in the classic Indigo cartoons. Yep, cartoons. But I'm not sure it looked like this.
I don't get why we even have those. And why do they only make one of Lloyd? Is it because he's the loudest? I can be loud too! Where's my limited edition throwback plush? Where's Molly's? Where's Finley's? Give this mistake to a child and they'll cry.
All right, now I can't really go any further because it's just going to show up as Finley's thing. But here's what I think. That arcade was in free play mode, meaning that they wanted people to play the game and you would win those Ramble Berries. Now, and they mentioned a Molly meet and greet. So here's what I think. I think that sort of thing was like an early method, and they eventually figured out how to make fully flesh type, mascots. And that's what replaced the old ones. I also think that rather than, having to eat normal food because they're at least digital, their main diet was like Rambleberry type stuff. And they were made with, kind of humanoid animals for like the fleshy parts and programmed to be like their characters. Now, the Rambleberry, I think, is something that people at the park could get and kind of feed the mascots, Get the little photo ops, take pictures of me feeding Molly or Lloyd or, whatever. And I kind of feel that's even more justified with Rambly being like, don't eat it, maybe I'll be able to show up in the real world one day. Or whatever the exact wording was. Now, obviously because Molly's head got popped off, that means that they are fleshy and not just, purely digital. But let's be honest, they've been here for 8 years. Unless Molly's going out and hunting people, which, let's be honest, if that was the case, the park would have been more than just closed. And I don't really think Lloyd was really, I kind of get the feeling that they didn't technically need to eat, but the Rambleberries were treats, kind of a carrot and stick thing, because you do hear Molly talk about getting in the cage, you dumb bird, and Molly's been put in the cage in the little level. Although that could just be the kids repeating something that was from like the games or the cartoons. But I kind of imagine that the employees are sad that their coworkers are gone and they're kind of abusing the animals. Well, I could also see at some point when a kid's trying to feed a Rambleberry to one of the mascots, they accidentally bite the kid or something and, well, oh, non-digital food or something like that. But here's my thought. The raccoon? The raccoon's obviously the villain, or at least in the cartoons, and totally messed with Molly in the game. I could see with disguises the skunk looking enough like Rambly, where Rambly, gets blamed for stuff, things like that. And I honestly think maybe Rambly and Lloyd kind of had one of those one-upmanship. Who's the more popular one? One's jealous of the other one's popularity relationship. Now, like I said, I can only think of those 2 times, and I don't think it really matters, but October 5th, which would have been the day that this all happened, is a Monday. Now, let's see what else. Oh, I guess I've been around in the same spot for so long, it's doing some sounds. All right. But yeah, like Salem the skunk was talking about all that friendship junk, which kind of seems like a kind of cartoony, over-the-top cartoon villain. There's so many open air stuff that Molly can access. Now, as for how Lloyd got beat, I do think it had to do something with the, critter cuff. I mean, we have been getting into employee areas, and we did get granted orange access. So I do honestly think the fact that we had the, heart monitor and mood ring kind of caused an automatic defense mechanism to go up. I could see them having, employed that. Yeah. I wonder if they're doing sounds because you're not supposed to stick around this long. Anyway, so I do think Rambley's was confined to the entrance until an employee or a customer came in. And if you do notice, you were invited into the employee entrance only, and then promptly got a critter cuff, and then got orange level access. I do think that Rambley, wants to rebuild the park. And I got the feeling that maybe Rambley knows that in order to do that, we got to deal with the old mascots. But at the same time, also just is lonely. But yeah. I mean, Lloyd doesn't attack until you go into the back room. In fact, he runs away. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Hi, Ninja! I'm almost done with the stream, actually, because I'm just talking about my theory stuff. But yeah, I think that they figured out how to get digital stuff out of it. Eventually tried to get entire mascots, and it did work, but like in the video game, the raccoon's personality, well, it was able to do stuff that, messed with the mascots more than it should have. I mean, maybe not literal potions, but possibly something like, you know what? I'm just gonna, I mean, because let's be honest, if they're digital beings, they probably could be hacked with a virus or something, even though they're organic. I could see something like hacking into that arcade game, which the game is obviously glitchy and stuff, but it's also old, so it could be a coincidence. But if the game is glitchy, it could be because it was, hacked into to an extent, and the ramble berries that you got from it caused the mascots to go wild. So if you do end up giving a ramble berry to Rambly later, if Rambly gets out, that could cause Rambly to become an enemy, even if he's not the main villain. Because to me, Rambly doesn't feel like a main villain. Rambly honestly seems concerned and remorseful. Yeah.
Wow, you made it to Oceanic Odyssey. You're doing a great job, Rookie Wrangler.
Rookie Wrangler. Stand by. And quick pass. Now watch.
You'll find a poker and porpoises, pickerels, and perches as far as the eye can see.
Speaker?
Please don't tap the glass. Never really know what I'm expecting.
I get the feeling. There we go. All right. But yeah, that's kind of
buddy.
the theories I got.
You look kind of tired. Do you need a moment? Don't worry, it's fine. I don't blame you for taking a rest after all that. Heck, I could go for a nice, relaxing defragmentation myself. But before you settle down, you up for a little survey to help us improve the park?
Thanks for visiting Indigo Park. Hope all your dreams come true.
If you've
We
got
got
some
some
time
time
and
to
you're
go
out
for a lark.
stick around for the Rambly review. I'm here to offer my best to each valuable
Alright,
guest I
rreview.exe.
assist. And lots of happy feedback ensures I get to exist. Were you satisfied
Fight with the rides.
Were you satisfied with your guide? Do you plan to come back?
Heck, will I see you again? Experience and tell a friend about us. Have I earned your trust at Indigo Park?
There is a stark
Credits.exe.
everything I know this place should be, but out of the dark.
I doubt it, but part of me wonders if there's some hints in the credits.
To this kingdom's faithful devotee at Indigo Park. More than I read marks on mysteries, even I don't know what we might find, but fight through the dark.
And I'm your spark of sunshine, get you out of any bind.
That is, if you want to keep going. Oh, idea! I know all of this isn't fair to you. It's an awful lot to ask.
Ask.
But here comes
RamblyReview.com.
to sell you on our task. I'm
RamblyReview.com.
here to view and assess each valuable guest
That
as
is
I learn.
learned.
And lots of happy feedback ensures you're gonna return. I'm so happy
You know the rights.
I'm so happy to be your guide. So come back anytime. I'd love to see you again. In all my thousands of days, I've never had a friend like you. At least I
hope you do.
At Indigo Park, there is a stark contrast to everything I know this place should be. But out of the dark, you've given a spark of sunshine to this kingdom's faithful devotee. At Indigo Park, more than my remarks are mysteries. Even I don't know what we might find, but fight through the dark, and I'll be your
Spark of sunshine,
to get you
out of any bind.
till all my old friends are united again, and I won't feel so left behind.
That's another thing that I'm curious about.
I'll let you go. See you next time, buddy.
Until all my friends are back together again, I won't feel so left behind. I think Rambly is the only one that wasn't released from the computer. Probably because they didn't want to be limited, or because they didn't want to completely have Rambly removed from their system. So, yeah. Hmm. Hmm. So, yeah. The basics are, I think that the mascots are like created from digital software and data and created into some sort of living whatever, but they don't need to, they, even though they can and do eat, they don't need to. Otherwise, Lloyd would not have been very well in the place. And I do think they legitimately have a good chunk of their personality programmed into them. Like Molly is all about crashing, so a lot of stuff is broken where you see her hanging out. And at Molly's, rooftop and what else? Lloyd is sleeping under the spotlight or resting under it. And because he's not ready to perform yet or whatever, he kind of runs in the back, He needs to wait to be told that the audience is ready instead of being seen by the audience. And the raccoon, if the raccoon is the villainy person, which would explain why there's a lot less merch of him or her, I don't know. But anyway, from the very beginning, you are able to get into the employee-only area. And he obviously knows. Now, the fact that he's saying Tuesday, discount when it's a Saturday is interesting. I think that's the only way, because like I said, deals on slower days, probably in hopes of getting people in. On this Rambly Tuesday, you can get in free % off. Congratulations! Yeah, because I think in order to get past certain things, he has to go past certain criterias. I think he's just like that. But, yeah. I do think that that's the case. I kind of think the arcade and probably some other stuff was given viruses, and eating virus-infected rambleberries caused them to go wild. But at the same time, if they are digital, there's probably something that prevents them from going too far away from their home, which is why things were just kind of isolated. And by home, I mean Indigo Park in general. Otherwise, they'd probably just send people in to take them out. And all of those security doors. I mean, they knew what they were doing probably to an extent, but had all these control things. And the corrupted Rambleberries probably unleashed the safety features. I'm probably way off, but, it doesn't hurt to get ideas, especially for a first chapter. Even though I'm not a big horror person, I'm looking forward to this next chapter. And yeah. All right. So I think I'm just gonna jump into some random fellow VTuber who's playing Indigo Park. So, you know what? All right. All right, this one just started. So, yeah. I don't know this VTuber, so I'm hoping they're a good bean. But, yeah. There we go. They are also playing Indigo Park. Anyway, I'll do a quick little raid message. And I know that this isn't our normal stream day, but yeah. Aqui raid, raiding into your stream. Oh, stream. I forgot the M. And yeah. All right, so everyone, take care, stay safe, have a wonderful night, and I hope to see you again real soon. All right, take care. Bye.